The evils we often think about when talking of the occult are usually the whispers of witchcraft, the nuances of necromancy, the determination of demons, or even the waking of werewolves. It is these sorts of fanciful and vibrant tales of the past that fuel our imaginations and paint the past in this elusive and somewhat malignant light, where magic or dark magic seemed possible. But whilst these forms of supernatural occurrences are frequently dismissed by modern historians, there are some tales which are far more corporeal, far grittier, and far more insidious to be dismissed so easily. One such case is the case of Edward Mordrake, the man with two faces. It was in December 1895 where the Boston Sunday Post published an article by Charles Lowton Hildreth featuring various so-called wonders of modern science, or what people at the time and even our time would probably and unfortunately dub as human freaks. One such candidate for this list was what some describe as an intelligent, good-looking nobleman who had a talent for music and generally seemed to be a stand-up guy. However, he was plagued by a nasty and not-so-secret curse. He possessed a second disfigured face that emerged from the back of his head. Some accounts suggest that this second face was actually the face of a beautiful girl, but despite the beauty of the face, it beheld a wicked streak. In both versions, the second face of Edward Mordrake was said to be made of the purest evil, and that whenever Mordrake was upset, the face would snicker and laugh. There are also reports that this face had its own sentience, and that it would whisper to Mordrake when he slept, urging him to kill himself. This second face was thought to only be heard by Mordrake himself, and that it would keep him up all night, abusing him with words, some of which may have been demonic in nature, or that this second face may have even spoken in tongues. Going by the legend, Mordrake spent much of his adult life, which he didn't have much of, begging doctors to remove the demonic face from the back of his head, but that they refused because they were either too afraid or simply didn't know how to do it. American doctors George M. Gould and Walter L. Pyle would include Edward Mordrake in their 1896 book, Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine, which featured a collection of the most peculiar medical conditions and cases. They would state that Edward was thought to have been heir to a noble household, but that given his horrid deformity, he refused his inheritance and exiled himself to a life of seclusion, where he refused the visits of even his loved ones. The doctors/authors of the book would declare that this face in the back of Mordrake's head would follow the movements of other people in the room, and though they could not hear its voice, its lips would certainly move. After many years of utter torture, Mordrake killed himself, leaving behind a single letter requesting that the demon face be destroyed before his burial, for he feared its wicked chattering would follow him into the grave and for eternity. At his own request, he was said to have been buried without a headstone in an undisclosed place. The encyclopedia which published this account of Mordrake claimed that the second face was merely a freak deformity, a mere birth defect that may have been a form of Craniopagus parasiticus, which is a parasitic twin head with an undeveloped body. Another idea was that this deformity was a form of diprosopus, a rare disorder which results in the areas of the face being duplicated on the head. Another idea was that this was a severely undeveloped conjoined twin of Mordrake, one which legends have since added hated Mordrake for his controlling of the body. Whilst the story of Edward Mordrake is certainly unnerving to say the least, is there much truth to it? Well, probably not. You see, the doctors who published the Anomalies and Curiosities of Medicine, George M. Gould and Walter L. Pyle, got virtually all of their information from the Boston article written by Charles Hildreth, and whilst this might not seem like too much evidence against the case, it does come under some scrutiny when you realise that Hildreth was also a science fiction writer. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that all science fiction writers are liars, of course, but his account of Mordrake, which is the original account mind you, cites the Royal Scientific Society as his source, but literally nothing else. In fact, research teams have since conducted investigations into the archives of the Royal Scientific Society and have not been able to turn up any information pertaining to an Edward Mordrake or anyone with an evil second face. Whilst there are no credible sources for the story of Edward Mordrake, a similar tale does exist as recent as 2008, where a baby girl by the name Lali Singh was born in North India, also bearing two faces. The baby appeared to have an extremely rare condition known as craniofacial duplication, where the head had two faces. She was described as having two noses, two pairs of lips, and two pairs of eyes. Unlike the case of Mordrake, however, the child's second face did not seem to possess any devil-like tendencies. However, the baby Lali did not live very long, and after a short 2 months, unfortunately died. Interestingly, residents of the village did not see the child as an evil entity, as Mordrake was thought to have been, but instead believed her to be an incarnation of the goddess Durga, who is often portrayed with multiple limbs. After the baby passed away, the village erected a temple in her honour. Edward Mordrake, meanwhile, resides in both the writings of 19th century authors and the twisted morbidness of our own imagination. Was he real? Or was he just another boogeyman tale? You tell me. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Until next time.